So there's a Buddhist phrase for this quality of balanced awareness, the phrase of intuitive mind, which I think is a lovely phrase. The idea that we have this balance between the world of the senses and the sort of interior world of deeper insight. And while intuitive mind is in place, all is well, because our thinking will tend to be coherent. We'll come up with ideas, and our motivations will be sound, because we're in relationship with this deeper quality of ourselves. But because our conditioning, because of our societal conditioning, as I've said, we tend to give all our emphasis to the outer world. We think of ourselves as our personality only. And as a result, what can tend to happen is we lose our own sense of wholeness and coherence, and we don't really have a very strong sense of self-worth. And because of that, we tend to do something that's called, in psychological circles, inflation. Our identity inflates in the sense that we feel we need to sort of get more and more stuff, more and more power, more and more status, more and more people under our control to give us that sense of importance and significance. And all of these ideas are really beautifully enacted for us in many myths and many sacred writings, actually. In fact, all of what we call the wisdom traditions are talking to us about kind of how we work. They're like our operating instructions. But for me, the most dramatic and beautiful of these is the Grail myth. And central to the Grail story, there's a king, a wounded king. In fact, his full name is the Wounded Fisher King, and he rules over a wasteland kingdom. There's problems in his kingdom. The cattle can't reproduce and the crops fail, and what's more, his land is ravaged by war and conflict. And all of these problems that are in his kingdom are a direct result of his wound. So this is really interesting. So what does the wound mean? Well, the wound means that he's cut off from his inner resources. For some reason, he's lost them. And so he's wounded. He feels impotent, actually, when that happens. When that happens, we feel that we lack power. And so we try to make up for it. And he's called the Fisher King because this wound he's got, it doesn't kill him. He doesn't die from it. But he can never be cured either. And so he lives a kind of half-life. And the only time he feels any relief from his wound is if he goes fishing. Now, fishing relieves the wound, but it doesn't cure it. And what this is talking about is that problem of inflation, whereby when we have lost that sense of coherent, larger, deeper sense of self, we try to make up for it by getting stuff from out there. And of course the problem is that the more we do that, the more we entrench the very condition that's causing the problem, because the more we're becoming dependent on whatever it might be. It could be alcohol, it could be food, it could be money, it could be the need to control people. And the more dependent we are on getting more and more of that stuff, the more disconnected we feel, and so we go round and round in a sort of vicious cycle of addiction. And that then causes the wasteland. Because this symbol that I'm drawing here is very ancient, and it's often called the Vesica Pisces or Piscis or vessel of the fish, because it kind of makes this fish shape here. And in the Grail myth, the combination of the Fisher King and the understanding that our consciousness, the Buddhist understanding that our consciousness is formed out of the overlap of two dimensions, kind of came together to reveal the meaning, the core meaning of the Grail myth, which is that to heal the king, you have to find the Grail, and the Grail is really just that sense of connection, a heart connection back to those inner resources. What the Grail myth is telling us is that we just have to learn this. It's not exactly a technology, but this kind of technology of consciousness, so that we measure our thoughts about what we might do. We kind of listen for how we feel about them. It's really that simple. The Grail, in my view, the Grail really just symbolizes our heart, our feeling capacity, our intuitive realm, when it's connecting to our inner resource. Because we can also connect to the chaos of what's going on around us. We can choose. But if we sort of just become a little bit still and connect to how we feel about any possibility, we learn to kind of guide our way through life, through our day-to-day decisions, through relationship, through thinking through a project. It's a resource that we can use all the time, and it will lead to creative outcome. Theoretical physicist David Bohm spoke about our creativity. He said that it was a kind of a quality in us that goes to infinite depth. And again, it speaks about the fact that while we are human beings in a physical body and we're living in this space-time, we have access to an undimensional quality, a depth. This is wisdom. We used to call this wisdom. And wisdom isn't strange and philosophical ideas that have no relationship to everyday life. Wisdom is practical, and it's in the moment, and it's inspired.